And good evening, I'm Andy Banker. First on News 11 at 7 tonight, developing news in St. Louis, more young people hit by gunfire. And good evening to you, I'm Andy Banker.
And I'm Catherine Hessel. First on News 11 at 7, the rush for COVID-19 testing. A site in Granite City is just now closing. More than 100 cars have been lined up there for the past 3 hours.
There is much to the COVID story tonight. Granite City is in Madison County, which has seen a huge jump in daily new cases, about 5 times higher than last week. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is ordering new restrictions on everything from casinos to funerals. And area mayors have now issued a wake-up call, urging people to stand together and bend this curve.
Every year about this.
Yeah, it was quite a line at that testing site. It was taking an hour and a half to 2 hours to get through that line. Again, that free testing pop-up center in Granite City is now ending. The health department is advising people that it may take up to 7 days to get results.
And now to those
Oh, Vic, and we just can't wait for everyone to see this. 18 days ago, Dorothy Steele was brought here to St. Clair Hospital from the nearby nursing home where she lives, COVID-19 positive, and her oxygen levels fading. There wasn't a lot of reason for hope. And certainly the big concern beyond the fire is inhaling. I look right here. We got firefighters across the street going door to, not firefighters, St. Louis County police officers going door to door. We're told as many as 3,000 people may need to be evacuated.
Fox 2 presents Hancock and Kelly.
And good Sunday morning. Welcome to Hancock and Kelly on Fox 2, where we take on the top issues of the week. On the right, John Hancock. On the left, Michael Kelly. I'm Andy Banker. On our agenda this morning, the Missouri Attorney General takes aim at mask mandates in schools. The city's top prosecutor asks for help to do her job. And our quote of the week comes from the St. Louis court fight against Stan Kroenke and the NFL. But we begin with the now deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan and a promise from the president.
To those who carried out.
A good Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Hancock and Kelly, where we dive into the top political issues of the week on Fox 2. On the right is John Hancock. On the left is Michael Kelly.
Good morning.
I'm Andy Banker, and we begin this morning with COVID-19. The Surgeon General of the United States blasts Facebook and Twitter for allowing the spread of misinformation about vaccines and a new spike in infections. Republican Missouri Senator Josh Hawley sees a lot of red flags here.
I just think that this kind of coordination between big government and the big monopoly corporation, boy, that is scary stuff, and it really is censorship.
Doesn't the Biden administration, namely the Surgeon General, have a point here?
Well, it's scary to me. That's big government.
And Michael, there are pockets of doubters on both sides. I mean, there's concerns about this Delta variant spiking in the city of St. Louis now. I mean, hospitals are starting to get overrun in Southwest Missouri. Medical officials really have a fear that it could come this way, and there are ripe pickings in the city of St. Louis, liberal cities like St. Louis.
Well, unfortunately, people aren't getting vaccinated.
Right. Next up, come on down. Congress turns game show. Senate Republicans channeled The Price is Right, saying the price is up, featuring a spinning wheel of inflation. Wait for it. As a new $3.5 trillion spending plan is announced, Michael, Republicans used the term Bidenomics for all of this spending. How many multi-trillion-dollar plans are too many?
Well, this is awfully delicious that the Republicans who forgot about spending for the previous 4 years are suddenly concerned about spending. When we were spending on, agenda is on the right direction.
Investments in human infrastructure, John.
Yeah.
Things like Medicare, climate change, child care.
Yeah.
That's what Americans want, don't they?
It makes you long for a drunk sailor. I mean, they're spending so much money out. This is nothing more than big government on steroids.
The real driver behind inflation, though, John, is since the market crash in 2008, we've used every...
Now, it's not good.
All right, I mentioned human infrastructure, and from President Biden's standpoint, that includes our right to vote. State Democratic lawmakers from Texas went to Washington in the past week to get help from Congress to stop new voting restrictions in the Lone Star State. John, there are huge political battles in multiple states over this. Baseball just moved the All-Star game last week out of Georgia over a similar issue. Shouldn't the federal government do something to put voters in every state on equal footing?
No. Elections.
Thank you both. Still to come on Hancock and Kelly. One of the best things about living in Missouri has always been the cheap gas. but state Republicans side with Democrats on a big new gas tax. The move spawned our political quote of the week. You got to hear this one. And welcome back to Hancock and Kelly. Republican Missouri Governor Mike Parson makes history this week, signing a huge tax hike on gasoline into law. Missouri's 17 cents a gallon tax, America's second lowest, will soar to nearly 30 cents a gallon. The governor signed a 12.5-cent hike over the next 5 years. That led to our quote of the week from Republican State Senator Bob Onder of St. Charles County, who said this to KMOX News. With Republicans like these, who needs Democrats? John, a 42% hike in gasoline tax. Is that a Republican issue? Is that something to run on?
Look, roads in the state are not in great shape.
Yeah, that's easier said than done.
Kelly
Gas
over
taxes, here. Michael, don't they always get passed on? Don't they hurt low-income and fixed-income people?
Well, potentially, but what really hurts people is the lack of opportunity and jobs.
I'm not so good behind the wheel. But I've blown out 3 tires because of these bad roads in Missouri. I run into these potholes that go down about 6 feet. I mean, it's ridiculous out there. It's terrible.
Not a strong driver.
No, it's poor government management. It's a good point, John.
Democratic St. Louis County Executive Sam Page in hot water this week over his second job as an anesthesiologist. The county council has voted to subpoena records from that second job, which he says he works during his free time. Michael, he's not supposed to have a second job, is he? How serious is an issue?
Well, I don't know how serious it is. The charter does say that he's supposed to spend all of his time on it. And look, if he's going in for 2 hours a week just to keep his accreditation up, I think that's one thing. But if he's moonlighting as a doctor in the evenings, that's not what the voters of St. Louis voted for him to be able to do. I do think the Republicans are just turning this into a political football.
Page's supporters are channeling those of Donald Trump, saying this is a witch hunt.
I mean, this guy's been putting me to sleep for 3 years. But the charter, you just can't.
How long ago do you think he came up with that line?
Oh, who knows? These dad jokes stick around forever.
We ever have a feud brewing at St. Louis City Hall. Board of Alderman President Louis Reed and Mayor Tashara Jones, both Democrats, are locked in a stalemate over how to spend millions in federal pandemic relief money. Plans include $500 of free money for qualified residents, but Reed and Jones failed again this week to get the deal done. Michael, is giving away money a solution for the city's ills, and what's driving this feud?
Well, the feud's not over that.
A couple more big issues we want to get to in the city of St. Louis. Our partners at the Post-Dispatch report this morning a St. Louis judge dropped a first-degree murder case because a prosecutor in Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner's office kept failing to show up for hearings. Also back in May, Fox 2 News reported on long 911 wait times in the city of St. Louis because of a chronic staffing shortage. The Post now reports there's been no improvement there in spite of assurances from the police chief and the Mayor Jones administration. Michael Kelly, all of this from a city government run entirely by Democrats for decades.
Oh, but let's be clear. This isn't
there's no political price to pay for these kind of failures.
But this is a progressive idea. I mean, you know, Mayor Jones and Kim Gardner were both elected on this progressive idea that we're going to stop low-level offenders. We're going to quit investing in police officers, et cetera. Can you believe this? They said, we need to stop the low-level offenses so we can focus on murder. They didn't show up.
Up next on Hancock and Kelly, what's the big deal about Chick-fil-A at Notre Dame? And new revelations about the Trump White House. Just how real were the concerns about a coup to keep him in power? Lots of juicy tidbits from 3 new books about the Trump White House, including the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs who says he truly feared the former president would try to orchestrate a coup to stay in power after he lost the election. There's also word the president was far more sick from COVID-19 than he let on. Michael, there was no coup. The former president calls that claim ridiculous. Is there important stuff here, or is it tabloid?
What are you talking about? We had almost a virtual insurrection on January the 6th.
January 6th was a tragedy in this country, and I hope to never see anything like it again. But you know, it's time to move on.
A tragedy that was perpetuated by a president who was trying to overthrow a government.
He wasn't trying to overthrow the government. He was trying to redo the election, perhaps, but he wasn't trying to overthrow the government.
Well, there was no coup. Now the politics of Chick-fil-A. Nearly 200 Notre Dame students and staff signed an open letter opposing the addition of a new on-campus Chick-fil-A, citing Chick-fil-A's alleged history of antagonism against the LGBTQ community. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham immersed himself in the controversy involving the Indiana school. In one tweet, he said, "I want everyone across America to know I have Chick-fil-A's back." Political opportunism, John, or a serious message about the so-called cancel culture?
I'm a member of the CHICKEN community.
Practicing their free speech.
Notre Dame officials have decided they are getting the Chick-fil-A. Final thoughts are next, but first, all aboard. Here's a bird's eye view of the fabulous Museum of Transportation in West County, captured by our BMW of West St. Louis drone fox. Love that place. Time for final thoughts. What are you thinking about, Michael Kelly?
Well, right now in St. Louis, we have a...
Of course, we all know what today is, Andy. Today is the opening day of the World Snooker Tournament season, the 2021-22 season. And to celebrate the opening of the Snooker League, Michael and I took out yesterday and we played, oh, there we are now. There's the snooker table. We played 23, I just made a shot there. We played 23 frames of snooker yesterday. And, you know, I don't, as you all both know, I don't like to talk.
Oh, Lord.
But I had a pretty good day on the snooker table yesterday. And if you don't know what snooker is, look it up on YouTube. And the great Ronnie O'Sullivan, the greatest snooker player in history, you won't be disappointed.
And if you don't know what snooker is, it's as confusing as John Hancock's responses to any question he's asked.
Gotta get one last one in.
Well, you know, what are you going to do? So I'm sore today, brother.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Rough workout at the pool.
It was tough.
Bending over a pool table.
Thank you both. If you missed any part of this show, remember you can download it on your smartphone. Just search the words Hancock and Kelly. And remember, if it's Sunday in St. Louis, it's Hancock and Kelly on Fox 2. We'll see you next week.
We go first to Fox 2's Andy Banker, who is live at the scene. Andy?
Yeah, Mandy, and here we stand exactly 1 week from Thanksgiving. It was an awful scene right back here on Telegraph Road at 255, just west of the JB Bridge. The Highway Patrol gives this account. The black car that you'll see rear-ended a MoDOT restriping truck. Around 11:30 this morning, 3 workers were out on the pavement behind that truck doing their jobs. There were cones up behind them, closing off the far lane of northbound Telegraph, alerting drivers of that work zone. It's not clear why, but the driver of that car went through the cones and hit the workers. A man and a woman were killed. The third worker, also a man, was taken to a hospital in serious condition. The driver of the car was taken to a hospital as well. He is expected to survive. Investigators went there to talk to him and to try to figure out how this could have happened.
They had the one truck that was stopped here with his lights activated on the roof of the truck, and then they also had some cones set up a short distance behind them as a barricade for people to know to get over. It's scary to think, you know, these MoDOT workers are out here doing their job like any other normal day, with no idea that something like this would happen. So, you know, it reminds us, and that's in, you know, first responders, reminds us in law enforcement how dangerous these roadways can really be.
Authorities cleared the scene on northbound Telegraph around 3:40 this afternoon, more than 4 hours after the crash. There's no word yet on any citations or charges in the case. No names have been released. Live in South County, Andy Banker, Fox 2 News. From the sea of flags here in the lawn outside Bowie Funeral Home to the sea of flags, faces, and signs that people were holding along the route from Lambert Airport to here. It really was kind of overwhelming to take it all in. And for everyone who was part of this, that was kind of the idea.
I was out cutting grass and my wife told me that they were doing this, and I said, let's get in the truck, let's go.
At the first Capitol Drive overpass alone, a couple hundred others dropped what they were doing too. Pam McCarthy is a dear friend of Jared Schmitz's grandmother, DJ. They are co-workers at Phoenix Textiles, which provides linens for U.S. military hospitals at home and abroad.
This flag means something. It's out of the ashes, the Phoenix bird arises, and we're proud of Jared, we're proud of DJ's service to the military, and our whole Phoenix team is very proud of both of them.
It really is echoed here today that all of these people would come out and just show their gratitude for what their son has done.
Their son, a Marine Lance Corporal just shy of his 21st birthday, killed in the suicide bombing at the Kabul, Afghanistan airport August 26th, giving his life for the evacuation of fellow Americans and Afghan allies. It's a world away from home, where he had graduated from Fort Zumwalt South High School just 2 years ago, and where people did more today than just talk about supporting our military families. They lined the entire 12-mile route from the airport to the funeral home. St. Charles County Police stood at attention on the interstate. St. Charles firefighters saluted from above, and a woman from his hometown held this sign.
I had it in my yard for a while with 13 flags around it, and then today I took it out to bring it here.
And he is in heaven. There has to be no doubt about that. He's a hero.
Today's visitation here was private. There will be a public one Saturday, September the 11th. The burial at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery will also be private. In St. Charles, Andy Banker, Fox 2 News. This table here is full of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine at the Farmington Civic Center. And there's enough here to vaccinate about 2,300 people in 9 hours. But of course, all of this doesn't just happen in one day.
This is like coming home.
30 Missouri National Guard members from across the state had boots on the ground more than 24 hours before the first shot.
I mean, how hard would it be for us to come out and just stop traffic?
Transforming this town of fewer than 20,000 people into a front line in the battle against COVID-19.
This is a very small setup.
County Health Director Linda Ragsdale says her clinic has managed about 40 shots a day so far.
We got it, huh?
Just after noon Wednesday, enough vaccine arrived for about 2,300 doses in a single day. Kept cold here as things changed by the minute back at the Civic Center.
I would like to have you guys involved in the hot wire.
Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. That's what we're going to do to make sure that this is as smooth for the citizens as possible.
You're the big heavy one.
The Guard teamed with an army of city workers and first responders, turning the Civic Center gym into one big clinic.
We'll go ahead and take this line first.
They mapped and tested traffic flow so medical teams could focus on getting needles into arms.
I like to think of it as we're the stage crew, they're the stars of it.
Absolutely. We have the National Guard backing us up.
This will be overwhelming. It'll be overwhelming and confusing.
But I don't think it's really going to hit me until tomorrow morning when I see the people, the droves coming up.
Thursday morning, Guard members check in those 65 and older who've registered over nearly the past 3 weeks.
Come on this way.
Among the first 600 in are Bill and Judy Ware.
When's your birthday? Today.
On what is Judy's birthday for what turns out to be quite the party.
All right, ready? That is all. We've been almost giddy.
They've been to Christmas parties in this very gym in the past, and they're very moved by this.
There you go.
A vaccination assembly line churning out more than 200 shots per hour. A doctor says it will amount to about 5% of the population of St. Francis County, where the previous health director quit in the fall after getting threats over the mask issue.
After being in a county that struggled so much with the idea of a mask mandate, the biggest thing is it just gives me hope.
Hopefully we can get back to somewhat normal life and see our kids and see our friends. It's been a long haul.
And I'm done.
Those hopes drive the close to 150 volunteers, 80 healthcare workers from Parkland Health Center and the county, along with the Guard, to do this all over again for second doses in 3 weeks.
Smiling faces and waving when they leave. That's huge.
Happy birthday! In Farmington, Andy Banker, Fox 2 News. If the photos aren't enough, authorities hope the rest of this new Crime Stoppers flyer will be. A $5,000 reward in the case of 3-year-old Kalia Stringer.
She was a precious little girl. She was so sweet. She was. Every time she come over here, she'll come upstairs. When I'm laying down in the bed, she'll come upstairs and she'll get on me and she'll be like, "Hey, Granny. Hey, my Granny."
And so it was around 9:30 Sunday night. Kalia was upstairs in her granny's room in East St. Louis as Granny cleared off the outdoor grill. The gunfire started when Harriet Stringer got back inside.
That's when we heard the gunshots, pow, 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 like that. And then that's when they, ducked down on the floor, and I ducked down too, and I was finna go upstairs. And that's when my son hollered downstairs, and he said, "Y'all call 911.
A bullet hit his 3-year-old daughter in the head. Her grandmother wishes she could trade places with her son or that little girl who died at a hospital 2 days later.
I'm trying my best to hold up myself. I wish that was me. I wish that was me that was in that room with her. I really do.
This is the home of Kalia's grandmother. Witnesses say gunfire was coming from both directions. And on this side, bullets were coming from a black car that was parked across the way near that no parking sign. That's where the bullet would have come from that hit Kalia. A single bullet came through the outside wall in what was a long-distance shootout. Kalia's great-uncle, Ernest Moore, took me to where that black car was parked. Police say someone in it was shooting at a crowd of people who appeared to be the length of a football field away in the dark. Police say all of the suspects took off. Illinois State Police and Kalia's family are urging anyone with information to come forward for the reward and, above all, for this little girl, her heartbroken parents, and her granny.
So nobody had to do that to her over some. I wish they go to jail. I wish they go to jail and do some time and think about what they done did to the baby, cause she didn't deserve that. She did.
Call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. All calls are anonymous. Andy Banker, Fox 2 News.